Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today. I have four people connected. How are you doing? Five. Bob, how are you? Nice to see you.
Excellent. Good to see you, Bruno.
Likewise. I received your email like last night, very late.
Yeah.
And I had stuff to do, but I'm gonna get back to you.
Okay. No problem.
But if you wanted to ask here, maybe we can chat about it.
Yeah, I did. I just posted my question.
Oh, all right. So let me see. Display. I cannot hear you. No, that's not a question. For the let me see. You posted the question where? On
On
here in
this
this
side.
chat?
Yes, on the chat.
I just don't see it in the chat. Okay, there it is. Finally, it came through right now. So, um,
It has a long distance to travel.
yes. Let me see. I'm gonna create a doc because this is I cannot publish it if there is no question mark at the end,
Okay.
so everyone can see it. Also, for people who are gonna watch the video, maybe I can just copy paste this. I don't think I can even copy paste it on a doc. Oh yeah, here it is. So I'm gonna just share my screen. Let me see. Share. This is Bob's question, and he says, our non-lucrative visa dates are October 1st, 2025, 30 September 2026. So, well, first of all, congratulations on your visa. Yes,
Thank
and
you.
and you got your visa validity period for a year, which is something that is becoming standard now. Like everyone is getting 365 days opposed to 90 days. Yes,
Yes.
they used to be. We had planned to arrive in Spain, Guipúzcoa, in November 2025, so 1 month after, but we found out my wife needs back surgery scheduled for 31st October 2025. Recovery will take 3 to 4 months, so we will not able to travel to Spain until February March 2026. We will violate any NLV arrival dates if we not arrive until March 2026. So this is the question where, many people are asking, like, does it matter if I don't arrive during the first 90 days because my visa validity date it will be 365 days?
See.
And the thing is, I have interviewed, I know, Manera Externa again about this because it was too early to say, because when things are changing, there's always some time that it takes to to all the authorities and the consulates and everybody to be aligned. But it seems there's no problem to arrive anytime during that year. Okay,
Okay.
like we haven't seen any issues. But I know told me that there is a communication from one of the institutions, like immigration institutions in Spain. I don't know, from Oficina de Extranjería, or some sort of let's say public communication stating that arrival should happen during the first 90 days. Okay, but that's all there is. Okay, and she couldn't confirm. She didn't get an answer from the authorities whether this was is applicable or not. We haven't had any cases of anyone in the group. It's 25,000 people right now in the non-lucrative visa group of Spainguru, stating that whether they arrived after 90 days they had any issue or any problem at all. So I mean, the visa validity says it's for 1 year, and what tells me, like, if I think logically, which always unfortunately happens with Spanish bureaucracy, and that's why we try to be cautious, is that the visa is valid for 365 days. So if you enter during that time period, then you can activate it, and then you can obtain your TA card based on your arrival date within that period. So you would be fine. If I
Okay.
had to guess now, if I had to bet on it, it would be that yes, you can enter until the 30th of September 2026.
Excellent. Thank you.
That will be my bet. As you know, I'm not an immigration lawyer, and
Right.
things are changing all the time. And even like, I can safely say that even for experienced lawyers who get a lot of volume in these visas, you see, there is still not enough time has passed to have enough cases of people who are entering after 90 days and before the year.
Okay.
Yes, to
Yes.
see what the outcomes were. Because you see, like, even if it is in your total right to come within the visa validity period, because that's what it states, there could be, like I don't know, a police officer, when you go to get your residency card later on at the police station, the police officer is not aware of this, you see.
Okay.
And maybe the guy say, no, it's 90 days, blah, 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 but it's only that person, you see.
See.
And maybe you go to talk to another police officer, and then the guy says, no, the visa validity is 1 year, and this has changed this year, and this person can enter during this time. So this is a situation, Bob. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of gray area, closer to white rather than black.
Yes.
Understand the metaphor?
Sí, entiendo.
Yeah. So yes, I will try to update with Ainhoa as soon as possible and see what she says, and with my other lawyer partners.
Yes.
But and I also ask you, please ask this question every now and then in the group to see if there's anyone entered. Basically, the question would be like, have you entered Spain during your visa validity period after 90 days of its
Yeah.
start date? And was there any issue or anything at all? Like, there shouldn't be, you see. We're
Yes.
just trying to be cautious. Like, we're basically, what we're telling people is, if you didn't have any plans, to enter Spain after those 90 days, enter Spain during those 90 days. Don't delay your plans just because, if you are flexible, if you have, both options to enter within the first 90 days and after, I mean, choose first 90 days. That's
Sure.
it. Until we have the full cycle is publicly working. You see, like the
Yeah.
cycle of entering Spain, getting the appointments for the police, that takes time,
Yes.
then going and get the TA card, and see that there's absolutely no friction in that
Right.
process, right? But we still don't have enough time.
Gracias.
All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. And of course, I hope that the surgery goes well.
Gracias. Muchas gracias.
All right. Anyone else wants to join or ask something? We have 5 people connected with their cameras. We have 6 connected outside. If anyone wants to ask anything via using the microphone or just on the chat, I got a chat. If I was to sell my automobile in March 2026 and move to Spain in April, what will be taxed on the sale of my automobile? Let's say I sell the vehicle for 20,000 euro. My tax on the total sale, or just the interest from the bank when I put the 20,000 euros in the bank? And there is another question after this, of course. So this is more about taxes, right? So, and there are a few things in this question. Many things coming into play in this question. So, first of all, I assume that in 2026 you will become a Spanish tax resident because you will be spending more than 183 days in that calendar year. Yes. And even if you sold in March and you move to Spain in April, once you become a tax resident in Spain during that calendar year, it goes retroactively until January 1st, 2026. So anything that could be a taxable event during the calendar year, Spanish tax authorities will undercut. So when you sell an asset, property, okay, in this case is a car, yes, they will want to charge you in my understanding, and I'm not a tax advisor, they will want to charge you capital gains tax, okay, because you made a gain, right? You made a gain when you sold that car. You bought it for 10K, you sold it for 20, round numbers, okay? Well, you will be making 10K. So in 2027, in June 30th, 2027, when you file your taxes in Spain, yes, doesn't have to be 30th of June. It can be earlier, right? That's the deadline. You will have to pay income tax, and one of the types of income is capital gains tax. Yes, which is taxed at progressive tax rates that range from 19% to 30%, right? So those progressive tax breaks work as an average or median, right? So maybe you will be, 10K is very little. This is especially, it goes high when you sell when you sell a house, for example. When you make 100K, 200K, 300K, you'll be paying 25% on the proceeds as a capital gains tax. Okay, but in the case of the car, potentially you will have to pay tax when you sell, and it's not going to be much because the absolute number, let's say $10K, okay, even if you made $19,000, is not a huge amount. So probably it's going to be at about 19%, whatever proceeds you made. Okay. But yes, check with the, I'm gonna say something forbidden. Check with ChatGPT maybe first. Don't take it as true, okay? And contrast what I said with that, and asking the community if this makes sense, and eventually contact with the tax advisor, not only for this but for the whole situation when moving to Spain, and include that as part of the questions. That would be my recommendation. Okay, so Miss Eddie, I have a question after that, of course. Please shoot. You have your
Yeah,
microphone there. Perfect.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay? Good morning. My name's Joe. You might not be able to help me with this. It relates to delays in approval for non-lucrative visas. So my circumstances are very simple in terms of a crown pension. So there's no reason why we would not meet the criteria. But we
So sorry, which area are you applying from? Which consulate?
Manchester, United Kingdom. So
Okay.
you'll probably know there's significant delays there. So I'm now 15
Yes,
weeks
it's horrible.
in. Yeah, so I managed to get into the consulate last week, and they let slip that one application is approved and the other one they're still waiting for some information from Madrid. So we did some digging on the is it the government portal in Spain where you can access through your NIE because we own a property in Mallorca. And my date is early August, which is a date where I provided some additional documents that had already been provided, but hey ho. And then my wife's is actually mid-October, which is a significant time afterwards. We're not sure what's happened, whether they've waited for mine to have a decision or whether they've just messed up administration-wise. But I just wondered if you'd had any similar instance or any experience of this type of issue, because obviously we're now sort of nearly 4 months into the process.
I mean, I heard of couples and families that some members were approved and some others didn't, or weren't approved on the same date. They tend to be not, pretty close apart. You see the decisions, but this is something that just from the observations of the comments in the people in the groups, that people are asking basically the same question, like what's going on here. My husband was approved but I wasn't, or vice versa. And then it seems to tend to be solved somehow, because we never hear from those people again. I understand like that they got the approval and then like happily move forward with their process, but yeah, I haven't seen, like, apart from that initial question from people, I haven't seen like any follow up from people in this situation. Yes,
Yeah,
or people
I
who
mean,
were denied. Like I did hear of someone, for example, who or wrote me an email like the main applicant was the wife, if I'm not wrong, and then the husband was, she was approved, but then he was denied because he had some criminal records, right?
mm,
So there was a delay in getting a second approval from him,
mm.
right? So that was something, an issue that I can remember. Sometimes it happens like this. So I don't know any follow up on these situations. In this case, like basically they just didn't get the visa. In this case,
Yeah,
uh,
I'm not expecting any issues, or any because they've not obviously asked for any other information. I think my concern is the significant delays and the gap between the two entries, and it feels like there's no right of complaint, but this is wholly unacceptable. I understand the appeal, but you can't even appeal anything because you don't get any information from either the consulate or from anywhere else. So it's quite frustrating, but I know there's a number of people who are probably just cautious about, complaining because of fear of rejection. But it's very frustrating, particularly when they're maintaining your passport, keeping the passport for such a long time.
yes, it is. I mean, it's almost shameful the process, no, especially for British passport holders. It's very hard. You can't get a second passport. Basically you are caught in the UK, and you cannot do much. But Manchester now, I heard that they released a form that you can fill in order to keep your passport once you apply.
I think
Actually,
that's a little ad hoc, depending on your circumstances on the day of the week. But anyway, I'm sure they
but it was
can.
it
But
was actually it was actually in one of these sessions that I was
mm,
talking to a British guy who was in Portugal, and he was going to apply in Manchester, and he told me about this form, and then I confirmed this with lawyers, and if you request it, they will get it. But you are too far into it. No, it's impossible now. Anyways, but for other people who will apply from Manchester, I'm not sure about other consulates in the UK or in the US. It is a consulate specific thing, that possibility. But so it is ad hoc,
yeah,
like.
there is a form, Bruno. We
Yes.
explored it at the time in I think it was May, but we had to go and sign for a property, so they wouldn't let us keep the passport. So it was like we had to just go and then come back and then redo it. Anyway, no worries. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm sure, I hope, let's say, that everything will be fine. If you're sure that the information and the documentation that you provide is good enough, then it is very common that there are like administrative delays, and you have to be extremely patient, almost a Tibetan patience you need to have, honestly. I know it is nerve-wracking, so many weeks into this, but I wish you strength. And yes, comment with the community and see if other people are in this situation. And I'm Manchester right now is crazy. Right now is crazy how much of a backlog they have. So yeah. All right. Anyone else would like to ask anything else? Okay. See here, I have Robert who wrote the questions. When traveling to other countries within the EU with an NLV, do we still need to comply with the time limits, maximum 90 days in a rolling 180-day period? Are the 90 days added together if you visit multiple countries outside of Spain? So yes, the Schengen rule applies because you only get let's say, a temporary residency for one of the Schengen countries. In this case, the temporary residency is the non-lucrative residency. It is temporary because it's a residency that allows you to stay in Spain more than 90 days, but less than 5 years, typically. And that's the definition of a temporary residency. So you are a holder of a temporary residency, a national temporary residency. Not there is no temporary residency, let's say, for the whole Schengen area. Like the other countries, like don't care, and if I can say it that way brutally, that you are a resident in Spain. They do have this 90-day and 180-day period. The thing is that once you are in Spain, and if you want to travel to other countries within the Schengen area, they're not really enforcing the control whether you have spent 90 days in France, if you crossed from Spain to France, or from within Schengen. Basically, you didn't go through any passport control. They're not saying that you are in France, Belgium, Germany, Italy, or anything, right? Because there's no passport control. If they wanted to investigate, it would take them very little to maybe see that you have been elsewhere. No, there is the famous case now of the brother of the president of Spain, who was supposedly working in Spain, but he living in Portugal, therefore paying little taxes, etc. But supposedly he was living there, but he didn't have mobile phone. He didn't have purchased. He had some purchase tickets from some supermarkets, etc., etc. And he had to show this to the authorities, right? Just to prove that he lived in Portugal, etc. So if there is any scrutiny, well, the rule says that you should not be more than 90 days in a 180-day period in other Schengen countries except Spain. Yes, but it is unlikely. Almost nobody. I never heard of anyone having this problem. There is some cases also, like Olympic Games in France, or some maybe terrorist alerts. So therefore, the member countries have the right to start doing passport control within Schengen if they need. Okay, so if it happens, okay, you will have to show your passport, and then you will have an exit or an entry. Yes. Yeah. Your passport, but yes, as long as you don't get out of the Schengen area, you should be fine. Yes, as long as there's no passport control.
Okay. Excellent.
So,
hello, Bruno. I have a question.
Sure, Jorge, please go ahead.
I have a few, but I could jump off and let others. Thank you so much for doing this. Your website and your videos are the best. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can always leave a review.
Oh, yes.
Push this button later on. You can leave a review on Trustpilot and just mention it there. Okay. It will be super helpful. But please ask the question.
A few questions about applying for the NLV, the mortgage. The LA consulate website still says I'm applying in Los Angeles.
Right.
And the LA consulate still says you can't have a mortgage, but BLS does not say that. And they're using BLS now. Various members on the Facebook community group and other sites say they've obtained it while still having a mortgage. Other people say, no, you can't have it, but they don't say that they were denied. And we have a separate bank account with our savings that we'll use to apply. So they might see it on a tax return. What is your take on whether, I know every consulate is different, but whether or not you can apply?
Yeah, so BLS and non-lucrative. So this is an open question, okay? Depending who you ask, they will tell you something. So sometimes I feel like I am like, in a football match, I'm not a player. I am the guy, the judge, going around them. So I'm just like listening to everybody, you see, and that's what the value I provide. I can tell you what everybody says, okay? And of course, I will try to to only give you the voices that I think they have authority in this matter, right? So first you have immigration lawyers. Then you have immigration lawyers with experience at LA, specific experience, and fresh experience, okay? And then you have applicants with fresh experience and applicants with old experience, yes? So it depends. The best would be an immigration lawyer who has just got approved at LA with a mortgage yesterday. That would be the best. I don't know that person. You see, first of all, right? So I will tell you all the rest. It is true that at LA, uh, they didn't like mortgages for many years. This has changed in the last, I would say, 3 years. They weren't they didn't have any problem with mortgages, okay? But still, several lawyers, even knowing this, um, they tried to put the information in a way that you could prove your financial threshold without showing that you had a mortgage. Okay, as you can see, also as you correctly said, if you provide tax records, yes, they can see that you have a mortgage, right? So I don't know exactly how they show the information so that the mortgage didn't appear there. Okay, and I don't know if they were being extra cautious with something that in the end stopped being a problem some time ago. So if you go to the non-lucrative visa group, you can ask for people, like, can I have a mortgage in Los Angeles? Many people said, like, I was approved with the mortgage. Many people, and I also have articles online, on Spainguru, like recovering these conversations. And many people will tell you, like, or also student loans. No, student loans is not a problem, okay? And so if I had to guess now, I don't think it is a problem, the mortgage, but you say that in the consulate requirements, it says something about mortgages here?
Yes, I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Cannot have loans or mortgages in the United States when applying for residency in Spain.
Yeah, so that seems pretty definitive, but BLS does not say that, and everyone's experience so far has said they've been fine. And so anyways, I just don't want to sell a house in order to apply. We will sell our house when we move, but.
Let me see, this is in Spanish. How can I translate this to English? Where is the language? Okay, here. English. Yeah, so what I would do, it sucks because it's not free. Is that if I get denied because I have a mortgage, I would appeal that.
Yeah.
Because this is the only consulate, I think, in the world that has this requirement. And it is a requirement that is not stated in any law or regulation of a law. Mm-hmm. It doesn't say it. So this is like someone, having a wrong and harder interpretations of a law and regulation. Again, this is like asking people to have rental contracts in advance,
right? Or
school enrollment for their kids in Houston, right? Or quit their jobs before getting their visa granted. This is common at all the consulates. Like, yeah, you have to quit your job. Are you gonna grant me the visa? I don't know. But if I quit my job, I can't come back. I don't care. You have to quit your job. You need to be faithful. You need to be courageous if you want to get the non-lucrative visa. This is absolutely insane. And a good lawyer with experience will fight. If you ever get a denial because of any of these things, you will win 100% in the court. You will win. Okay.
My follow-up question to that, actually, another website video that I saw, it said that there was a recent change that consulates are now requiring either payroll or official information from your employer that you are no longer working, rather than a letter of intent to quit. BLS says you need a letter saying you will not work, even online, a letter showing that you plan to retire or quit, before your visa. And I think you advised before even doing it like a month before, or not the day before of your flight. I don't want to quit my job until we get the visa, obviously, but has there been any change in requiring someone to quit before applying? You're saying it's seemingly no, there hasn't been a change.
I mean, there's been some changes, like some small changes. Yes. So the thing is that depending on the consulate, they are more open to this situation or not. Okay. Actually, Los Angeles, it was always quite open to the situation of not quitting your job until your visa is granted. They were always quite open about this. And in general, I could say that this was for the whole states. It was like this. Like the UK is worse. They were more strict about this. But suddenly you get cases like this man in Houston, in June, who said, yeah, I'm going to quit, on, I don't know, I'm making it up, like August 29th, and I want the visa to start later. So I'm going to be, without working. He couldn't submit the papers. Yes.
Right.
But in Washington, in July, 1 month after, require resignation proof dated before the visa start. Okay, they didn't resign yet, but there is this, let's say, a resignation letter with dated in the future, but before the visa start. So these guys were more open. You see,
right.
It is a very, consulate specific or person specific this situation. Yes. Again, this is about the interpretation of the rules, because the rules don't say that you need to be retired when you apply. Okay?
Right.
When you apply versus when your visa is granted. Yes?
Just a quick moment. Over 60% of you watching right now aren't subscribed. That's a lot of people getting value without hitting that button. If my videos have helped you understand Spain's immigration process, visas, or life here, even just once, please subscribe now. I'm working hard to reach 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and your click truly makes a difference. Thanks so much. Now, let's keep going.
And also, there are a few things that are a bit surprising, like the case of this Venezuelan guy applying at Buenos Aires, that they Googled him. They Googled him and they saw that the guy had activity in his LinkedIn. And also, a lot of people say, like, oh, consulates are not allowed to Google anyone. Well, they did. And the court in Madrid said that they were right.
Yes.
You see? Yes. So what's the going on here? They Google you. They do, right? If they want. And
right.
if they get caught, the court says that they were right at doing so. It is hard to say. In my opinion, if you're in this situation, I always say this to everyone. This is my advice. I'm not telling you like, oh, you had to quit 1 month before or anything. I'm not sure I ever said that about time frame to quit or anything. What I'm saying is that this is a harsh interpretation, but it is very, very common. It's not like the mortgage that is just like LA specific in the world, but there seems to be like quite a big consensus in all the consulates anywhere in the world that for the non-lucrative visa, they want to scrutinize very, very strictly whether you're working or not. And they're tending to become less and less open to the situation of applying, having a job. Okay. But we are in the transition. And what I always say to everyone, if you don't have a straightforward case, go with legal advice. What is not having a straightforward case? Basically, you're not a retiree. You want to keep your job until the last moment. You have a mortgage. You don't want to get a lease. You don't want to comply with any of the crazy stuff they want. Yes?
Right.
This is my, let's say, ugly, unfortunately, advice I could tell you. Like, because if you get denied because of any of these reasons can be fought. They can be appealed, because any judge that puts the law next to the decision will say, on grounds of what you're denying this person? On grounds of what of these points of the law? There's no point of the law that says anything of this.
Okay, thank you. I had a follow-up question to Robert's scenario, because we're hoping to have a 1-year visa like he received and have the multiple entry and hoping to go within that 90 days. But 2 questions. If you fly over there within 90 days, get stamped, maybe look around, get an apartment, come back, and then take, a couple months to get your affairs in order, and then fly back, would that have any problem with fulfilling that 90 days since you have a multiple entry and
it's okay. In my opinion, it's okay. I mean, usually when you fill the form, you have to select single or multi-entry. You always have to select multi because it makes no sense to select a single entry. And I don't know why they give you the option to select anything worse than multi. Okay, because if you want, yes, it's doesn't make any sense, right? It should be by default that you have multi-entry by default. So
one of the things, but Bruno, one of the things that we learned in doing this, and this is Robert, we're going to go over early, like Jorge said, and actually we know that we only have a very small amount of time to get the empadronamiento, so the padrón. So we were going to do that on our short visit, look for an apartment and get a padrón, and then come back to the United States and then go back later. But we were told, of course, that the padrón is only good for 90 days. And if you wait 90 days, come back to the States for 90 days or more, you will have to redo a padrón once you go back to Spain.
No. Okay, I have good news for you. Finally. So look, and this is related to Jorge's question. Okay, also. So I'm not forgetting that one.
Good.
But once you obtain the empadronamiento, once you show your rental contract, etc., and you obtain the empadronamiento, okay, they will give you a certificate. It's true that the certificate is valid for 3 months, okay, and after those 3 months pass, it is very, very easy to get another certificate of empadronamiento, again valid for 3 months. You can even do it online if you have a clave, okay, or digital certificate. Okay. Or if not, you just go to the city hall, and it is the initial registration that takes time. In Malaga, actually, it's taking 2 months, for example, so that they process, they just read the rental contract, your ID, your visa. That's all they have to do.
All right.
And that takes 2 months, right? But then after that, you are in the system. Once you are in the system, it is very, very easy to obtain a volante de empadronamiento, which is the piece of paper that comes with a stamp or printed from your computer, but it has like a legal stamp from your ayuntamiento or city hall. And that's very, very easy to obtain. You don't have to go through the initial registration again, okay? As long as you didn't move away from the first property, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So don't be afraid of that. That's no problem. So coming back to Jorge's case, you said you want to enter within 90 days, all good, but then you had some stuff left to be done in the States that you want to fix. You want to go back. There shouldn't be any problem in doing so, okay? The thing is that once you finally get the appointment with the police station or foreign office to get your residency card, the TIE card or plastic card that shows your NIE number, your face, your name, says that you're on a non-lucrative visa. Usually the start date will be the initial entry to Spain. Yes, the initial entry to Spain. So you have to have that in mind because the first renewal starts 60 days before the expiration date of that card after 1 year. Yes, this is the only thing. But since you will have multi-entry, you can go outside of Spain for a couple of months. Also, think about the minimum stay requirements for the different things.
Yes,
this is also something to have in mind. I don't know what your objectives are in the medium or long term in Spain, but you have to basically think about, 4 things, I would say. 3 immigration things, and 1 is taxes, right? First is tax residency, which is calendar year. If you spend more than 183 days, you become a Spanish tax resident during that calendar year. The 3 other things are minimum stay requirements for the renewal of the visa, number 1. Number 2, obtaining the long-term residency after 5 years of legal residency in Spain. And number 3 is potentially applying for the Spanish passport. All those 3 things are connected but separated in depending how you see it. Yes, if you want to renew your non-lucrative residency, you need to stay at least 183 days in a natural year.
Right.
Yes. From July to July, for example. Yes. But this is ambiguous, as I explained in my webinar, because there is a Supreme Court ruling saying that this should not be in the regulation. Okay. And if you if you spend less than 183 days in a natural year, still they have to renew your visa. Okay.
Okay.
Number one. Number two, if you want to go for the long-term residency after 5 years, remember you can't be outside of Spain more than 10 months in the previous 5 years. Okay. They don't have to be consecutive, but they cannot be more than 6 months in one block. And the third one is the Spanish citizenship. Jorge del Portillo, maybe you're a beneficiary of the 2-year fast track.
Yes, I was going to ask about that. Yes.
All right, cool. You're a dual passport holder of another Hispanic Americans country.
Yes. But I was going to apply with my United States passport.
Right. Yeah, the residency. So, but still, for the Spanish citizenship, after 2 years, you can't be outside of Spain more than 3 months each year. Okay. Each. No, it's not like, oh, the first year I stayed in Spain all the time, then I have 6 months the second year. No, it's 3 years per. 3 months per each year.
Yes.
Okay. So that's important.
And then a follow-up of what you said as well. Sorry, and then I'll let someone else jump in. But let's say in Robert's scenario, his visa was good until September 30th, 2026. He arrives September 1st, 2026. And does the 1 year for the renewal begin September 1st, or when he gets his TIA, or is it from the visa of October 1st, 2025?
If I apply the same logic that it has been happening in the last years, it is the entry in Spain.
Yes.
The date of entry. If I apply this logic, the thing is, like, there are several logics which make it illogical. This is the problem. Okay. If you ask in the groups, there's 25,000 members there. Half of them already got their visas, and they have or more, and they're still active, and they have their TS. And you ask them, when did you get your TS start date? It was the date. I'm going to tell you, like 95%, because there's also human mistakes. This is not automatic, right? It is the police officer who has to do some calculations, look at the calendar, right? And they will tell you is the date that you enter Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So technically, if you have, they give you the visa starting today, no, you can enter it until the 28th of October 2026.
Mm-hmm.
You enter that date, that should be your start date of your TIE, technically. But let me tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised if it was not. I wouldn't be surprised, because I'm already I have many scars in this battle, like I've seen, like maybe they say, no, it should be the date in which your visa was granted, right? Because it's not only me who is looking, like a little bit like what's going on in here, because there's police officers who don't know that these rules changed, right? And they will ask someone else, like, what should I do here?
Right.
I'm gonna grant a visa for, grant a residency for another year. Doesn't this make sense? I mean, they should, and you could fight it if there was any problem.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is another question here. Can you explain the process? Let me just write it here and share my screen so everyone can see it. Whoa, no. No, I cannot. I cannot copy it in my document, and it doesn't have. Can you put a question mark, like repeat the question and add a question mark at the end of your question so I can publish it? I just can't do it. Just can't copy paste stuff from the chat. The question says, can you explain the process of getting electronic signature once in Spain for the renewal process of the NLV? tricky question. I'm going to tell you, because you're asking me about a digital signature for a specific process. And of course, it can't be that easy to answer that. We're talking about Spanish bureaucracy here. So for the renewal of a visa, only the digital certificate works. Okay. There are a few different things. So if you search Spainguru digital certificate, it will tell you step by step how you do it. Okay. And this is a software that you download in your computer. You have to be careful not to use Chrome or not to use, you have to use like Firefox. And at the beginning, when you request it, you basically go to this website, yes, which is the Fábrica Nacional de Moneda y Timbre, yes, and you go to, let me see, you go to Obtener Certificado software, and basically you have to identify yourself. There is a video identification that never worked with me. I don't know why, but some people said that it did work. If it doesn't, you need to get a code that they will send you to your email. Yes, and you have to use always the same computer. You get an appointment at a tax office or social security office. They have a network. Okay, that is a bit chaotic even for me. And then you go there, you show your passport, and they see that you are the real person, and then they will send you a link to install the software in the same computer where you apply from. Okay, and that will open every time that you enter an official place. Like it could be your city hall, it could be the Mercurio platform for doing the renewal of the visas. It will pop up this, and you can see that, oh, this is your name and this is your certificate. And then you will be able to sign documents or see notifications that they send you, right? And everything. And when it works fantastic. It is great. It saves you so much time. Now there is another, and this is only for visa renewal. Let's say for your question, it's not only for visa renewal, but for visa renewal, Clave doesn't work. Only the digital certificate works for visa renewal, and the digital certificate basically works for everything. But there is a, let's say, low tier type of certification which is extremely useful, which is called Clave. Okay, this thing, Clave. And Clave is easier to obtain because you don't need to download anything in your computer. You don't need to have specific browser. You don't need to know what version of your Windows you have, or if it's 64 bits versus 32. All these things that can be potentially a block in your process. This is you can add it to your phone. Also a digital certificate, but I never done it. But this one, you have it in your phone. You read the QR code. It sends you an SMS with the code. You write that code in the page where you want to identify yourself, and you are in. Okay. You also have to go through an identification process for this. But let's say that the easier part is that you don't need to have a specific computer or anything, or computer specification. So Clave is very useful once you arrive to Spain. Yes. At some point, try to get Clave, and for sure, at some point, try to get the digital certificate, right? What I understand is that for Clave, you don't need to have the TIE card already. Yes. But for the digital certificate, you do have to have your TIE card, if I'm not wrong. Okay. Anyways, try to get those two as soon as possible.
Okay.
So this is the how to get the digital certificate in Spain. You just search Spainguru digital certificate, and then you have all this. Okay. All the step-by-step process to get your digital certificate. Honestly speaking, I don't know why you would need to have a TIE card, because you would just need a NIE, okay, just the number, which when you get your visa, you get a NIE en passant, no, automatically. You get the NIE. So that's all they need, really. I don't know if this is an extra. I have seen people who reported that no, you already have to have a TIE in order to get your digital certificate, and that can be a problem. I heard this people say. Of course, I don't have this problem because I'm already Spanish and I don't have these issues. So I rely on people's experience on the blogs on their way. So yeah. Robert, we enjoy and appreciate your webinars and insights. We will continue following your guidance. We are ready to Spain. Any question for me, Bob? I mean, we can hear you. You're writing there. you're like the youngsters now that they, instead of talking, they send WhatsApps to them, even if they're sitting in the same table.
Yes.
I mean, like, if you have 2 minutes, if you can tell us a little bit of how your I don't know, your journey for the non-lucrative visa has been so far.
Sure. And I think just only Jorge is on the line besides you. We live in Georgia now.
We have 7 people connected, actually.
Oh, okay. Then, but we live in Georgia, so Miami is the location for the Spanish consulate and BLS that we used. We did all the work ourselves, starting probably in late April of this year to pull the documents together. Again, obviously the most time consuming was the FBI background check and translation apostling. And we were married in Germany 44 years ago. So we had to go back to Germany to get an updated marriage license from them because that's only valid for 6 months. But other than that, we pulled everything together as necessary. The Miami consulate was very, very helpful, both BLS and the consulate, in answering questions via email. So we appreciated their work an awful lot. There was obviously a lot of slowdown when student visas.
I remember you asked me about your marriage certificate from Germany, whether you had to sworn translate the apostille itself that came in 4 different languages. Yeah. And the Miami consulate was very helpful at answering you like you didn't.
Yes, I sent them a copy of the updated marriage license that was stamped in Germany by the official government. And since it was a national document, I thought, well, it may have to be apostilled. So I sent a copy of that document straight to the consulate. And I also copied BLS just so they would have a file on it too. And the consulate immediately wrote me back and they said, your marriage license update in 4 languages that's stamped in Germany does not have to be apostilled, and it will be accepted upon your arrival.
So let me tell you about this. Also, this is a big, a big controversy, because supposedly, as per European Union rule, any of the documents by any of the European member countries should be accepted by any of the European member countries in any official process, including getting visas. So if you got married in any of the European Union countries, you shouldn't need to apostille it. Sworn translate is another story, yes, because it's it's in German and the officer in Spain doesn't need to, doesn't speak German, needs to understand it, but wouldn't need the apostille, because the apostille, the function of the apostille is to make it legal to any of the countries in the Hague Convention. Okay. So, but the European Union said you don't need to apostille it because we are European Union members, so we don't need to do this extra step because we are part of the European Union, guys. Yeah. Right. So nobody cares about that rule.
Yeah. And fortunately for us, our original marriage certificate and the updated marriage certificate was in 4 languages, like you mentioned, and so the Spanish consulate in Miami said, this is good for us. It answers all of our questions. The biggest thing that we have seen on your blog site and the websites for expats going to Spain is getting an appointment. And obviously everybody looks very, very rigorously, sometimes for months in advance, to try to get an appointment with BLS, because you're trying to work all your US plans or your UK plans in order to get your non-lucrative visa, or get an appointment for your non-lucrative visa. And we got our appointment for the 11th of September of this year, but we got it on the 29th of July, which was the very first day that BLS opened up the appointments for September. And every time I get a question on the blog spot or on one of the other sites on Facebook for expats, I always say, as we get closer to the end of this month, start looking every day, a lot of times, early, mid, all that, to see when they open up, because it could be the 28th of the month, the 29th, the 30th, or the 31st, or even the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, or 4th. And in Miami, we asked, and they said, well, we observe U.S. holidays as well. So if it's an American holiday, they will probably be closed. So that may delay when they open up their appointments, but it is not for the next month, i.e. we got our appointments when they first listed the appointments for September, and we got it in the end of July, the 29th of July. It wasn't for August, because August were already done. They were already filled. So you have to look in advance a little bit in order to do that. But that's the biggest thing that we had. The appointment that we went to, we arrived before about 30 minutes before our appointment. Our appointment was at 8:30 for one and 9 for another. I was able to get 2, which was very unique and very helpful. Sometimes they accept 2 people on one appointment, but sometimes they do not. And so we did get 2 appointments back to back, 8:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. And we arrived about 8 o'clock. They opened about 8:15. The security guy looked at our appointment letter and he said, sit over here. And the total time that we were in the BLS office with our documentation was about 35 minutes. All they wanted us to do was take the documents out of its packets, because we had them all arranged in order according to the BLS orders. And then they looked at them very, very briefly and said, these will be going to the consulate probably tomorrow. Step over here, take your picture, sign the 790-052. So we didn't sign that before we got there. We signed that there at the BLS office, and then used a debit card to pay all of our fees. So it was very, very simple. We didn't have to use cashier's checks or bank drafts or any of that stuff. They took a debit card, not a credit card, a debit card for all of our fees. And we were gone within 35 minutes. It was very underwhelming. The beauty of it is, obviously, we did our homework, because that was on the 11th of September. On the 12th, that was Thursday. On Friday, they were going to send our documents. BLS was sending our documents over to the consulate for their reviews. So on Monday, the following Monday, the 15th of September, we did get a text message from the consulate saying that they have received both of our applications for a non-lucrative visa, and we should hear within 1 month. On the 29th of September, which was basically 18 days after our meeting with them, we got a notice. We both got a notice that via email that the visas or the passports were ready to be picked up. They don't tell you if you're approved or not, but they do say that it's ready to be picked up. So we flew back down to Miami the following week and went in, and just went in because we had our approval or our notification of ready for pickup. And the security guy let us in, and we handed it over to the representative in BLS. And then 10 minutes later, she called our name, and we picked up our visas in envelopes and our passports in envelopes. We opened them up, and sure enough, the visa was stamped inside our passport. And then we left, and that was it. So that's all I have on that. Any questions?
Wow.
I just had to follow up with Bruno, and I saw this.
Thank you so much for
online.
sharing that. Maybe I make a different video just for this first-hand experience in Miami, Bob.
Sure.
Jorge, please.
Yes, I saw that you have to, I'm married, so my wife and I would have to both obtain appointments. And some people advise, like, if you show up and you show your appointment letter for the future, you could still apply as a married couple. I'm assuming that that's the case. And it sounds like that's what Robert did, had back-to-back appointments. Is that true? Like, you have to each individual obtain an appointment. You cannot apply as a married couple through BLS.
Well, I know it's only from the times we started doing this, the only appointments that were available were individual appointments, certainly not family appointments. So we applied for individuals. I know at Houston and Miami, talking with people that we know that have gone to the Houston BLS and also Miami BLS, if you're able, because the appointments go so fast, Jorge, that we were very fortunate. I mean, they both lined up just right for us on the same day. But some couples have said, I got an appointment for myself on this day, but I couldn't get an appointment for my wife or my spouse or my husband until 2 days later. And they had both those letters when they showed up for the first one. BLS took them both at the same time.
Right.
It is BLS, the location depends on the location.
Yeah.
Because here I have an article. If you search Spainguru appointments, couple appointments, I think, if you search that. Well, this one, I will share with you with the link here.
Yeah.
Because, this is a very common question. I couldn't come up with an answer because when I said something, somebody else said, like, no, that didn't work that way in Puerto Rico or in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Or I had a family of 5. We had to get 5 appointments. Or, yes, we had a family appointment for a couple. Yes. And I was like, what's the situation here? So I just basically put together the different answers I could get here. And, someone in Mexico City, for example, said that it was impossible for them to register a family appointment because the system wouldn't let them. If you already started to fill the form, you created your profile at BLS in Mexico, and, as a main applicant, when you add the second one and it says, like, citas están disponibles para el pasaporte tal, no puedes crear una nueva cita con este pasaporte. Like, you can only have one appointment in Mexico City. You cannot have several ones. So the way they have it is, like, depending on the office, they have the system. It lets you do different things or not. Okay. The most common answer is everyone gets a separate appointment, and then everybody shows up during the same day, and they will graciously accept your document submission as a couple. Yes, this is the most common answer. But then some people said, I could never get a second appointment. Can I still go and drive my 12 hours, whatever, to Miami or to Houston, and they will see us as a couple? And I don't have an answer to that, unfortunately. My best guess is, like, hopefully they will. But I wouldn't be surprised if they had a bad day. They would say, no, you need 2 appointments because I need to have 2 people in my system in order to accept the submission for your husband or for your wife. Yes. Or say something, a technical reason why they couldn't see you as a couple without everyone having their own appointments, right? And this applies to families of, maybe like 3, 4, 2 kids. Like, they couldn't get appointments for everyone, but generally they saw them. The general answer would be that they will see you, but you will have to hopefully try to get a family appointment if the system lets you. And if not, try to get appointments for everyone. And if you can't get the appointments for everyone, basically pray that they see you.
Yes.
When you show up. This would be my short summary of the different first-hand experiences.
I have some other questions if you have time. I don't know.
Go for it,
other
please.
people. Okay. When we're talking about from a Spanish-speaking country, I plan on applying with my U.S. visa. We go there, we get a residency. After 2 years, I apply for the citizenship using my other passport. Will they require that I live there for 2 years under my other passport, my Spanish-speaking passport, or is there any rules on that? I know some people that I've seen other videos that was able to work, but I haven't seen what the law is or anything.
This is, this article, this is new, is a ruling, is a new ruling about this. So what happened? The law says that you can obtain the Spanish citizenship with the same nationality with which you obtain your residency, which goes against to the initial thought that you can apply for the non-lucrative visa as an American and then benefit from a 2-year fast track with another citizenship, because you are an American resident. Therefore, you need to wait 10 years to be eligible, right? But in practice, the immigration office said that they are accepting dual passport holders to apply for citizenship with another citizenship from which they obtain the residency. However, at the beginning of 2025, like all this was like this for several years. Yes, the law said one thing, but in practice, everyone could do it. No problem, okay? You had some technicalities that made the thing harder, but it was never like, no, you can't benefit from the 2-year fast track because you're an American, right? Even if you show me a Honduran passport, no, because you obtain your residency. No. It was like several years, everything was fine, everybody was getting their citizenship with some little technicalities, like, for example, the American passport, maybe the letter ñ or the tildes or the, you got 2 names in Mexico, 2 surnames, and then in the American passport only 1, and then the authorities, they're like, oh, it's different, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, you get the citizenship, right? At the beginning of 2025, several nationality submissions were rejected because the Ministry of Justice said that if you obtained the American passport before your Latin American passport, then you are not a Latin American by origin. And the Article 22 of the Civil Code says that you will be benefiting from the 2-year fast track only as a citizen by origin. Okay? Right? For example, if you're American, like any American, without any ties to Puerto Rico, can go to Puerto Rico, live there 1 year, and get the citizenship from Puerto Rico after 1 year. But that's not by origin. That is by naturalization, by residency. And Spain will not consider, because Article 22 says it has to be by origin. Parents, whatever the local laws said, that it is by origin. This is important, right?
Yes.
And then the Ministry of Justice was starting to say, no, because if you obtain the passport after the American one, then you are not by origin. Yes? And there were rejections. They appealed and they won. This was Ainhoa who got this ruling. And now it is fully confirmed, again, coming back to the previous situation, really, that doesn't matter when the sequence in which you obtain your passports, okay? And it doesn't matter if you obtain your residency with another passport.
Perfect.
Right? So basically, it's very, very good news, this ruling. I highly recommend you reading this article just to get more context about it.
Thank you.
And if you need help, for the citizenship, I know I did mine. I'm from Argentina originally.
Right.
And they are doing this process like every day. That's their bread and butter. Okay? So very, very experienced in this.
I have another question sorry, I have a lot. For
Please,
applying,
go ahead.
We have enough savings. Obviously, the euro and dollar, it's fluctuating. For right now, my calculation, 36,000 euros for a couple. It's about 42,000 US dollars. And let's say we have, 50,000 in savings. Because I'm not retired yet, and I'm not 50 years old yet, I'm in my mid 40s, I've read that they look at people who are somewhat younger, a little bit differently, and maybe a little bit more. BLS says we require 3 years of tax returns, for example. Do you think it would be an issue to have just enough over the required amount, $45,000 instead of something significantly higher?
38,800. Bueno, it's 36, no? 36,000 euros.
Yes.
To USD, no? Whoa, one more zero. $42,000 today. Tomorrow can change. The law says that there is a financial threshold, okay? And if you're over that threshold, no more questions are asked. This is what the law says. If someone asks you something and denies you on that ground, you can appeal that and you can win it, okay? If you're going to apply by yourself, do it yourself. Unfortunately, that is a rocky way, okay? And as you said, you're very young, and it's true that young people or younger people face more scrutiny.
Right.
And there is nothing against the rule or the law that you say that you want to spend only one sabbatical year in Spain and then you want to go back to the US to continue working. But I've seen people who got rejected, denied because they wrote this in their letter of intent, you see, and that could have been appealed. And this person was preparing an appeal and contacted me because he wanted legal help for this appeal, okay? Because he never should have written that. Right. This person pecó de honestidad. He was a sinner of honesty, as we say in Spanish, okay? Too much honesty. You don't have to say, right? Like, don't say it. Don't say it. So, but there's nothing against the like you go to Spain, you have the savings, you are in Spain for 1 year, and then you go back, and that's it, right? So it is always better to show $1 million instead of 36,000 euros. It's always better, but as long as you are on the threshold, you have the law on your side.
And then I also read that people used, say, a credit line. Like I have a credit card with a zero balance, but a large credit line, that they used it and it's accepted for a renewal, but not for the initial application. I thought just to sweeten the pot, I would show it that is available for use in an emergency or whatever. Do you know, I haven't seen any information or
want to show you the rule, but as far as I understand, you can use it even for the initial application, as long as you can prove that they are readily available without penalties immediately.
Right.
Yes. And in general, there are different ways in which people keep their money. What you need to prove is that money is liquid and it is accessible,
right,
immediately without penalties. Yes, and if you can prove that, then it should be considered to be part of your finances to support yourself without working in Spain. That's my opinion. It's true that now that you said, I've seen way more people using this for renewal. For some reason, they take out their credit cards when they have to renew and not when they apply, for some reason. But
is that because you have to show 2 years of finances on your renewal?
Not always. Actually, there are more. I've seen more provinces that are asking only 1 year than 2. Actually, look, Valencia is 1 year. Madrid is 1 year.
Excellent.
Murcia is 1 year. Almería is 1 year. But Alicante is 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes, La Coruña was 1 year. Yes. I don't know. There are no many provinces in Spain, but those are very common provinces for people to live in, and they're asking 1 year. So it is really like
Good.
by province,
Yeah.
and you should consider proving 2 years if it doesn't matter to you. You can do it, but it is a case by case scenario, ¿no? Visa no lucrativa, visa no lucrativa. Let me see. Autorización inicial de visa no lucrativa. This is not the law, okay? I should go to the law, but here this is like they say a summary for this, official summary from Ministerio de Inclusión, Seguridad Social y Inmigraciones, ¿no? Requisitos, documentación exigible. Let me see. I'm not sure it's gonna be here. Epígrafe, modelos. I should search for it because in my presentation I have all the articles of the visa, and it says it lists the nature of the things that you can use to prove that you can be in Spain without working.
I remember someone posted in the Facebook group a snippet of the law, and it seemed to say it was for renewal applications.
Oh yeah,
but I mean, that's my memory. But I didn't see anything that says you cannot use it for your initial application. But that's okay. But we should be fine. I was just curious.
Yeah. Okay, so crédito. Let's search crédito. It's only 5 crédito. So look at this. Article 62. Okay. These are medios económicos acreditar la obtención. Okay, these are the economic means that you can use to show that you have enough money, right? And the point 3 says, right? I'll send you the link here. Article 62. It says it could be any means that show that you have money, okay? Including, okay, to give you examples, but it is not exclusive, yes? Property deeds. This is funny because you cannot use a property deed.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I have $1 million house at home, you know, I have enough money. I said, no, you need to sell it. Because this is the liquidity nature is what they look at, right? Cheques certificados o tarjeta de crédito. And this is medios económicos para obtener, it's not renewal. Deberán ir acompañados de una certificación bancaria que acredite la cantidad disponible como crédito o sea, you need to attach a certificate that the credit that you have is readily accessible without penalties, liquid, blah, blah. It can be immediately in your bank account if you request it. And it is quite easy to obtain that certification, I think, from the banks. Like, I never heard that it was difficult for people who use this. Okay, so. Okay, wow. Yes, they updated the new requirements of certifications for the banks. You can see.
Okay.
Here. Yeah, of course, this is the Reglamento de Extranjería. So, yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Another question. I've heard that it can be somewhat difficult to obtain a driver's license over there. They have the written portion that you could take in English if you want, and then you have to go through the driving school there, perhaps, and it could be difficult. Is it difficult to obtain a driver's license? I don't know if you did.
My wife, who's from Ohio, just got it. You can read also this one. Spanish driving license, a U.S. citizen experience and challenges.
Okay.
So here's the link. So I will soon interview my wife, who is the founder of Spainguru.
Really?
Who got the driving license. As every American, she's used to automatic gears. And, driving here is much more complex. But that's another story. The thing about Americans is that there is no... Of course, you cannot exchange your driving license in Spain. You're allowed to drive with your American driver's license for 6 months, up to 6 months, together with an international driver license, okay, that you can obtain at AAA or stuff like that. But then after that, you're required to obtain a Spanish driver's license. And since there is no agreement between the two countries, you need to go through the process. The process will depend where you are. Yes, because there are a couple of towns that are famous in Spain that no one gets rejected. Okay, one is Baza in Andalusia. Basically, it's a town with one single traffic light, I think. So everyone that goes there, they just stay a few days, they give the exam, and they get their driving license. And another one in the north of Spain. These are two famous towns. But in general, yes, you depending on the escuela, autoescuela, they give you the option to have teacher in English and material in English. What the Americans report is that the English grammar in those materials tends to make it even more misleading sometimes. The questions when you read them, they don't have any sense. Like it's not very clear what they wanted to ask. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you are, if you speak some Spanish and you understand Spanish, you will understand why they wrote that, the logic behind it. And it pays off to pass the exam in English because the amount of questions where they can choose the questions in English is much smaller than if you do it in Spanish. Like in Spanish, like 3,000 questions, they will ask you 30 or 40, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all this can be wrong, okay? Don't take me on the numbers, but the proportions.
Right.
The Spanish is like, you need to study 3,000 answers. In English, is like 200.
Okay.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
So there is an advantage in doing it in English.
Okay, good.
But not all the autoescuelas have the possibility to give you the course in English, okay? But if you don't go through autoescuela, you can go and just ask directly for the exam in English, I think, at least the theoretical. Not of course, the practical will be in Spanish in any case.
Right. And
it is quite expensive here. It's like in the US, it's paradise compared to this. A class, I think, is like 40 minutes and it costs, I don't know, like 30 euros or something like this. I don't know.
Okay.
So and people like take 10 classes, 20 classes, 60 classes. And yeah, but now it's much easier to pass the theoretical exam. There are many apps that you can practice, and basically you learn by heart.
Sure.
Yes, you just like test and test and test and test. So yeah, that's the story. And normally it costs, like, in the end, if you're fast and it would cost you maybe 300 euros. Okay, some people are 600 euros and they don't get it. Okay, some people have spent like 1,000 euros or more, even, like in more extreme cases. And that's why some people just like buy these cars who don't need driving license. There are these cars who have this engine which is like the same of a small motorbike, and you don't need a driving license. But those cars cost the same as a normal car, like 11,000 euros, 12,000 euros, stuff like that. Wow. Yes, this is for people who like try to get the driving license and they just couldn't get it.
Okay,
but you will.
I will. Yes, thank you.
Don't worry. Just try to practice with manual gear. That's the biggest hurdle.
Oh, you have to take the test with, like, we plan on buying a car.
You don't have to, but it's more expensive.
Okay, I see.
You can get, but also your driving license will say only for automatic gear.
Okay.
It's just like with glasses, I have to do it with glasses, and it says that I have glasses, because if one day I forget my glasses and they see me driving without glasses, it's like, this guy is blind.
Right.
This guy should come with glasses and only with automatic, right? But then when you want to rent a car somewhere else, whatever, maybe, I don't know, but maybe they don't have an automatic car. You will have some limitations if you buy cars, they tend to be much more expensive here in Europe, the automatic gear. This might be changing as I speak with electric cars, etc., etc. I have no idea, honestly, but yeah.
I don't know if other people have questions, but I have 2 more questions, if that's okay. would you say everything I've read, the cost of living, it depends where you live, Madrid or Barcelona, Valencia. But for a couple, not going out and spending a lot on food and drinks is after taxes and everything, income of 4,000 euros, 5,000 euros, plenty enough. It seems like that is sufficient.
For a couple?
For a couple.
Yes. So it depends where you live. Madrid and Barcelona and Basque Country are expensive. Yes. And the rest is a little bit more affordable. And then you have all the different layers. So I have here Move to Spain, here Spain destinations. And one of the things that I like about this section on Spainguru is that it is constantly updated for several things, because I rely on other platforms who are constantly updating. So for example, if you go to Madrid or any of those 13 destinations that I have weather, for example, Numbeo Weather Spark to check the weather, Numbeo to check the cost of living, okay, and Idealista to check the rentals, okay. By far, I think your situation with your house will have the biggest impact in your budget, right? It's not the same renting, it's not the same buying, paying everything at once, or getting a mortgage, right? Rentals right now, depending on where you live, can be a huge part of your budget, okay? But here, for example, if you enter Madrid, see live data on Numbeo, and here you can see everything. Yes, and this is constantly updated, and you can compare with other cities, cities that compare city with Madrid with another city, okay? Which city would you like me to compare with?
Valencia and Barcelona, say.
Be careful with Valencia, because there's a Valencia in California, I think. I
yes.
didn't. All right, so here it says, cost of living in Madrid 16.5% higher than Valencia. Wow. Including rent is 22% higher, blah, blah, blah. You can see all this, yes? With this information, weather, other stuff, other key factors, and that I tell you here, okay, where to look at to choose your destination, okay? Some people say like, oh, I don't like hilly places, I want flat places. That's a big one, actually. And then here you have a budget tool, right? And I explain you, or I suggest you with the videos, and then I give you a free, basically, Google Sheet that anyone can enter, which is the simplest thing ever. And I've been working years with Google Sheets and everything, and I understand that sometimes less is more. Just with this, you're able to make a budget, okay? One-off expenses and monthly expenses. I think most of the things that you need to have in mind for building your budget is here. So together with Numbeo and the lifestyle that you want to pursue, and the place where you want to live, as I said, if you are here in Madrid, rentals can be a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go here to Idealista, and it sends you directly to the English Idealista rentals in Madrid. Okay. Whoa, 40,000 a month. All right, that one's not for me. That's for sure. But here you can see, if you go all the way down here, it says average price, which of course you could see that outlier that can hold, can change everything. Just someone made a extra zero there. But basically, from all the properties, is 29 euros per square meter.
Wow.
So if you live in a 100 square, but this is not, as I said, it's not Zillow. This is not very scientific. This is just people can publish like 5 times the same property, so it's not scientific, right? But it gives you an idea on how much it could be. And of course, if you go also Idealista, if I do Idealista maps, if you like maps as I do, I love maps, geography, all this, I just love it. So idealista.com/maps, you can see by the colors the different neighborhoods, no? You wanted Valencia, so you go to Valencia, you go zoom in, you go more granular here, yes, and you can see the different neighborhoods, and it tells you the square meters price. This is almost 4,500 in Ciutat Bella, almost 5,000 L'Eixample. Extramurs goes down by 1,000 euros per square meter. But if you go here, you can even see by block. It's beautiful, right? Of course, there's a reason why something is cheaper or more expensive. You gotta see if there's a prison in front of your house or something like that. But it can, all these tools, that I prepare in Spainguru is to help you narrow down stuff so that you can then do your investigation and go deeper into the things that you want to, that fulfill your vision of your life in Spain.
Yes. Yeah? Thank you. Thank you
again
guys, so much. Appreciate it.
I really, really appreciate it. And actually, Jorge, you made me think that maybe I should have a Q&A session about moving to Spain in general, or ask me anything about, or taxes. And maybe some, later in the day. Unfortunately, I have 2 small kids, and it's very, very hard for me to be available like after 6 p.m. I really, really appreciate the effort from everyone that woke up so early to join today, or even like in the middle of the night. So I really, really appreciate that you guys join and you ask questions. Really makes me very happy. And I will send you the recording very soon. You can always reach me out at hello@spainguru.es. And if you haven't done so, please like the video if you're watching on YouTube right now. And I see you around. Have a wonderful week.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, amigo. Que vaya bien.
Es que de casco.